What we have forgotten is that thoughts and words are conventions, and that it is fatal to take conventions too seriously. A convention is a social convenience, as for example money. But it is absurd to take money too seriously, to confuse it with real wealth. In somewhat the same way, thoughts, ideas, and words are coins for real things. Other people teach us who we are. Their attitudes to us are the mirror in which we learn to see ourselves, but the mirror is distorted. We are perhaps rather dimly aware of the immense power of our social environment. It's like you took a bottle of ink and threw it at the wall. Smash! And all that ink spread. And in the middle it is dense, isn't it? And as it gets out to the edge, the little droplets get finer and finer, and make more complicated patterns, see? So in the same way, there was a big bang at the beginning of things, and it spread. And you and I, sitting here in this room as complicated human beings, are way, way out on the fringe of that bang. We are the complicated little patterns at the end of it. Very interesting. But so we define ourselves as being only that. If you think that you are only inside your skin, you define yourself as one very complicated little curlicue, way out on the edge of that explosion, way out in space and way out in time. Billions of years ago you were a big bang, but now you're a complicated human being. And then we cut ourselves off and don't feel that we're still the big bang, but you are. Depending on how you define yourself, you actually are, if this is the way things started, if there was a big bang in the beginning. You're not something that's a result of the big bang. You're not something that is a sort of puppet on the end of the process. You are still the process. You are the big bang. The original force of the universe coming on as whoever you are. When I meet you, I see not just what you define yourself as, Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so. I see every one of you as the primordial energy of the universe, coming on at me in this particular way. I know I'm that too, but we've learned to define ourselves as separate from it. Excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. I count him braver who overcomes his desires than him who conquers his enemies. For the hardest victory is over self. The high-minded man must care more for the truth than for what people think. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Anybody can become angry. This is easy. But to be angry with the right person, and to the right degree, and at the right time, and for the right purpose, and in the right way, this is not within everybody's power, and is not easy. The self-indulgent man craves for all pleasant things, and is led by his appetite to choose these things at the cost of everything else. Where your talents and the needs of the world cross, there lies your vocation. Happiness is a quality of the soul, not a function of one's material circumstances. The only stable state is the one in which all men are equal before the law. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. My best friend is the man who, in wishing me well, wishes it for my sake. Learning is an ornament in prosperity, a refuge in adversity, and a provision in old age. One swallow does not make a summer, neither does one fine day. Similarly, one day or brief time of happiness does not make a person entirely happy. To write well, express yourself like the common people, but think like a wise man. First, have a definite, clear, practical ideal, a goal, an objective. Second, have the necessary means to achieve your ends, wisdom, money, materials, and methods. Third, adjust all your means to that end. It is in our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. Man is a goal-seeking animal. His life only has meaning if he is reaching out and striving for his goals. It is easy to perform a good action, but not easy to acquire a settled habit of performing such actions. Democracy arose from men's thinking that if they are equal in any respect, they are equal absolutely. Character is that which reveals moral purpose, exposing the class of things a man chooses or avoids. Poetry is finer and more philosophical than history, for poetry expresses the universal, and history only the particular. Bad people are in conflict with themselves. They desire one thing and will another, like the incontinent, who choose harmful pleasures instead of what they themselves believe to be good. Man is by nature a social animal, an individual who is unsocial naturally and not accidentally is either beneath our notice or more than human. Society is something that precedes the individual. Anyone who either cannot lead the common life or is so self-sufficient as not to need to, and therefore does not partake of society, is either a beast or a god. Time crumbles things. Everything grows old under the power of time, and is forgotten through the lapse of time. I have gained this by philosophy. I do without being ordered what some are constrained to do by their fear or the law. It is not enough to win a war. It is more important to organize the peace. All who have meditated on the art of governing mankind have been convinced that the fate of empires depends on the education of youth. The wise man does not expose himself needlessly to danger, since there are few things for which he cares sufficiently. He is willing in great crisis to give even his life, knowing that under certain conditions it is not worthwhile to live. He is of a disposition to do men service, though he is ashamed to have a service done to him. To confer a kindness is the mark of superiority. To receive one is a mark of subordination. He does not take part in public displays. He is open in his dislikes and preferences. He talks and acts frankly because of his contempt for men and things. He is never fired with admiration, since there is nothing great in his eyes. He cannot live in complacence with others, except it be a friend. Complacence is the characteristic of a slave. He never feels malice, and always forgets and passes over injuries. He is not fond of talking. It is no concern of his that he should be praised, or that others should be blamed. He does not speak evil of others, even of his enemies, unless it be to themselves.